Well, I said the next video would be a Yu-Gi-Oh video. So, here we are. Yay. I guess. Alright, so, for a little context. When we last met, which was way too long ago, because there is way just too many endless, unlikable, unentertaining episodes of this fucking show to watch. We talked about Shadowverse. And a little while before that, we talked about Vanguard. And my commitment was to do Yu-Gi-Oh! And while I took a break from that to get the best and worst animes of the year videos out, I felt like, yeah, let's just do this. Otherwise, it's just going to sit there and people will ask, which they do. And I will kind of always wonder what would happen or what's going on with this fucking show. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. Let's just watch this. And, well, you know what? Before we get into it, fresh reminder, we actually left off in what I thought was a good place. I was genuinely interested to see what was going to happen with Yuamu. I was really curious to see how it would affect Udias. I don't care about anyone else in this fucking show. But that's pretty good. Honestly, like, you could make a genuinely interesting, compelling narrative over what they were setting up with Yuamu and Udias, or just this concept of your protagonist and antagonist being this, like, former older brother, younger sister type dynamic that has now gone in this direction because one has gone so far into fear and hopelessness and nihilism for the future that she is directly opposite someone who has learned to believe in optimism and a better tomorrow can be reached when we work together and we try. I really wanted to see that. And the show doesn't give it to you. It doesn't fucking care. It doesn't fucking try. We're just immediately back on the fucking endless filler. Like, the next several episodes is just like, once again, every episode is we just pair off two random characters because they've got support coming out in the next set. And we don't do anything with the idea of them interacting. We have like a few minutes of setup at the beginning of the episode, and then we have a duel, and then the episode just ends. That's just every fucking episode now. Nothing is ever happening or really pushing the narrative forward until like an episode before when everything has to happen all at once. So like after episode of endless bullcrap, Yuamu is now at the point where, because she caught Damamu, I know that's going on, but like it's such a entity in what's happening in the show. It's just like stuff that's kind of happening and then it sort of goes somewhere. Like when you're watching a show, you should feel like the plot points are always at the forefront and you're watching the characters execute them. But here it kind of feels like plot points are things that just bookend the episode. The middle is just always a duel between uninteresting characters. So yeah, so it's now time for Yuamu to sacrifice her own mind and become the Dark Meister so she can build towards the future of Yuga's time. And again, this is good. Yuamu's actress does a very good job. And the scene where Udias just fucking shows up out of nowhere actually is really good. The idea that when it's time to, like, save her, he will do whatever it takes and he will appear like that. Like, he's going to put his foot down and be like, enough is enough. And I think that's really strong. But then, and also the duel is great. I had fun with this. Udias' strategy of keeping Monster Reborn from being activated is really fun and compelling. And the idea of using it himself to sort of like try and like trick Yuamu into stopping herself from hurting herself is good. And the scene with Kawaii is good. And all these things are good. And it's for fucking nothing. Because then Yuhi is just like, nope, I'm gonna become Otis. Why? I don't really know, because it's what Yuamu wanted, and he's like, I'm going to be a good brother and basically kill myself, so this thing I don't understand will happen. Fuck! Why are they obsessed with Yuhi? I don't get it. Like in the last show, I know I always do this, but Luke got a lot of playtime, but Luke was funny. He was likable. He was compelling. This dude is so bland and is such a wet blanket half the time. I don't see any point to him. So, yeah, so now Yuhi is Otis, and, like, the scene where he dies is good because of Yuamu's voice actress, and the idea of losing him and how it affects her is good, but because it just came out of nowhere and wasn't built up to, it just kind of feels just like, what? So, yeah, so then we just go back to the fucking filler, as Yuhi is now Otis and has no desire to, like, really do anything, and is just kind of screwing around. I don't really get what the point here is. Maybe it's supposed to sort of, like, lead into the bigger narrative of, if you don't have your identity, if you give up you, like, that doesn't guarantee things will get better. The idea of, like, self-sacrifice or self-harm for what you feel is a greater good ultimately is meaningless, which I think is kind of something I think people need to hear sometimes. But it's not really done in a way that I think is, like, really interesting. Yugioh is still just there. Everyone is still just there. Like, nothing is ever really fucking happening. Until, we find out that Yuna... Oh, God, this is fucking insane in, like, all the worst ways. So, if I'm following this correctly, because I just started mentally checking out after a certain point, Yuna brought in the really old crummy trap card time machine so she could literally travel to the future to be with Yuga. And Otis stole this and just uses it in a duel with Epoch just because. And when it's activated, Epoch gets flung through the time stream. Oh my fucking God! Oh God! There's so much fucking wrong here. So, getting the obvious out of the way, making it that Yuna's character has literally just boiled down to nothing besides just, like, her fucking schoolgirl crush on Yuga, and how she's literally willing to bend the laws of physics for this, is bad writing, bad characterization, and not fun. Because, like everything else, we didn't know she'd go this far, and you wasted all the episodes you could have done stuff with this on dog shit. So, that's happening. And then she has Otis take Udias, who is will literally freeze because he's being made unstable because of Quiddle, and Damamu is somehow inside Udias's consciousness, and it's just it's not very good. This then leads to a duel between Udias and Quiddle, which, like, in theory should work. I like the idea of what Quiddle is trying to do. The idea is that Quiddle is trying to push Udias into no longer just being the innocent, happy-go-lucky hero, but has to acknowledge that choices have to be made and decisions will be carried out, and that is what being an adult is. He cannot always guarantee the happiest thing will happen, and if he continues to behave this way, it will result in everyone getting hurt. Udias needs to make decisions and go with them no matter how many sort of ethical issues they may bring up and what he has to deal with in the future. This is not a bad idea. But again, it's not properly built up to. I never really thought this was a problem Udias had, because the story never really put him in tough situations like this before. It's all just happening now, and they're trying to make it feel like we built to this, but we have not. But yeah, so then they have a duel, and the duel tries to use, like, weird, fucked up imagery, which I love it when Yu-Gi-Oh! Does weird, fucked up imagery. Some of my favorite parts of this franchise, but this wasn't built up or earned. It's just weird shit for the sake of weird shit. Meanwhile, back in reality, if you want to call it that, Yuna is doing experiments to separate Quiddle from Udias because She needs to put Quiddle through a photon accelerator or something in order to cause him and Yuamu's cat to cause time travel, which you already did, because Epoch is somewhere. Fuck, I hate this. I hate this so fucking much. But yeah, so that's going on. Everyone else shows up. Now Yuamu's like, wait, maybe all this is crazy. And so then they have a duel where Yuamu wins, but the stuff still happens, and Yuna goes into the time machine, not knowing where she'll end up, but she's out for however many episodes till they feel like bringing her back. So then, I haven't looked up any spoilers for this. Also, for context, I just went up to the amount of episodes that are subbed, and that's all I got. I will not wait any longer. So then, Udias has a duel with Otis, which, I mean, that was fine overall. I like the idea that the stress of everything with Quiddle really got to him, and you see the anger getting to him and how it affects him in his dueling, and how it kind of plays into what Quiddle wants, which maybe is good or bad. I don't fucking know right now. But Udias is able to defeat Otis, accepting the fact that this means the death of the Dark Men, the potential loss of Yuhi completely, as well as this new Otis persona, and any sort of like complication that it comes with. Udias will have to face these things head on, consequences and or benefits and negatives. Again, not a bad idea if you did anything with your fucking endless episode count. But yeah, and so 139 ends with the time machine activating anyways. The Valgirans are back, which means nothing because we're not in the present anymore. And the episode ends with Udias and Yuamu being sent back to the Sengoku period. And that's it. Also, we got a really long Sevens clip show where they really had to fucking spell out that everyone is related to Sevens characters, a thing I'm pretty certain everyone figured out a long-ass fucking time ago. So, in conclusion, the show just fucking sucks. There's no way around it. It's really fucking bad. It's really uninteresting. Just the fucking endless filler. The fact that the majority of characters are not interesting, never do anything interesting, or are ever, like, put in compelling scenarios. The animation is okay, but never really does anything. There's really nothing to this, and I really have no fucking desire to watch anymore. I'm sorry. That's just where I'm fucking at. I have wasted so much time the last, like, week and a half just binging this fucking awful show made by people who don't seem to care that, like, I'm just like, why should I fucking bother? They don't want to try. Why should I? Like, it's fucking insane. So, like, will I talk about the show anymore? I don't know. Maybe, like, when Cardfight Vanguard's over, I'll just kind of, like, talk about both of these. I mostly just don't want to have to watch a million fucking episodes of this ever again. So, we'll catch up with it then. Until then, I'm talking about what I want to talk about. I think we'll do Kimi no Todoke next. That is literally a show made by people who were so passionate about doing it right. They waited almost a fucking decade for a third season and Netflix to come and save their asses. That's what we're talking about next. I don't care if no one watches it. It's something I want to do. So, yeah. As always, click the like, click subscribe, and join me for something worth talking about.